Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of the Brand Builder Show. We're going to be talking about sourcing products, supply chain management, some stuff that might seem boring at the front, but it's going to be really helpful for growing an effective e-commerce business. And today joining me on the show, we've got Maxence. Maxence, welcome to the show today. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And I always forget to do this. I always forget how to pronounce your name. Did I get it right?
Yeah, you did. You got it.
Okay, good. I should really get into the habit of checking that before we go live, but there we go. Welcome to the show today. We're going to be diving into your journey. You've built and sold an Amazon brand, which is going to be really exciting. And then we're going to dive into some of the specialities that you have built up over that time and are using now. But before we dive into the journey and get into some of the sort of details, why don't you give us a little bit of a background, catch us up over how you got started in e-commerce and kind of where you're up to now, really.
All right. Yeah, so I'm going to try not to make this too long. I do tend to ramble a little bit, so. But e-commerce, actually, I started about 10 years ago. So I'm 29 now. I started when I was like 19. I built like some sort of a weight loss program back then. So it was like back then I lived in Canada and Quebec, and in Quebec we speak French. So I built up like this information product business because I was really into fitness, started working out when I was like 14. And so started teaching people how to work out, how to lose weight and everything like that. So did that for about 4 years. And then at the end of the 4 years, I was able to sell the business. So that was like my first exit. It was a modest amount, a low six-figure amount. But for me, as a 25-year-old young entrepreneur, it was pretty good. So did that exit, and then I had this friend who was doing Amazon FBA for a couple of years. So I was like, I would just look at him, and he was like one of the most like chill entrepreneur friend that I had. Like it was always like business on autopilot. Didn't have to work so hard. So I looked at him and I was like, oh, this is a cool business, and I love product. I love physical products. So I decided that I just would roll my money into Amazon FBA. So that was 2019. About 4 years ago. So that's when I got into Amazon FBA full time. Initially, I went to supplements because that was kind of carrying over from my previous business where I was also selling supplements along with the workout programs and everything. So I already had a good supplier in the US. And I was pretty good at branding products and supplements. So I decided to go into that. And that's where I got some of my first successes on Amazon. I also went into different categories. I kind of dabbled into, built this skincare brand with some electronic skincare products and some other small brands that I tried. But what really worked out for me was the supplements. So I did that for about, I think was it like 2 or 3 years, the supplements. And then I ended up selling that business again. So I sold that in Empire Flippers. I think that was last year. Also for around a six-figure amount. And then since then I've been working for an Amazon aggregator. So I joined them to do product development for them.
Awesome, man. That sounds like an exciting journey, which we will dive into some more in a moment. We love to do this intro slot called Favorite 5, which is where we ask you a quick fire 5 questions of your favorite things so that you can give some insight into the listeners of what helps you grow your business and grow your entrepreneurship in your life. So number 1, do you have a favorite e-commerce brand?
Yeah, I thought about that, and I don't know if like that fits into the category what you're looking for, but I thought about Vivo Barefoot. I think actually it's a UK brand, and they do these minimalistic shoes, and I love those shoes. They're so good. So I don't even know if they sell on Amazon, but they definitely sell online, and
nice.
Great shoes.
I've definitely heard of them. Yeah, for sure. Good stuff. Okay, your favorite software or tool that helps you run your business or life?
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit expected, but I got to say Helium 10 because, that's just been like something I've used consistently for the past few years. It's always been very helpful.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, we love the team at Helium 10. Great tool. I use it every day, so I can highly vouch for that. Awesome. Okay, your favorite organic marketing channel?
Okay, so I'm a big I'm very Amazon focused,
Hmm.
so I have to say Amazon organic,
Mm,
like just
mm.
ranking for keywords on Amazon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy opportunity really when you zoom out and you actually think about the opportunity that's there to get that organic traffic is pretty nuts. Okay, and paid marketing channel.
That one again, I kind of have to say Amazon PPC, but I'll say Amazon video ads because I
Okay.
think they're very much underrated. And just how what the potential is to get ahead of everyone else with video ads, I think is really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And then finally, your favorite business book, if you have
For
one.
this, I would say 22 Laws of Branding by
Okay.
Alright and Jack Trout. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've not heard that one before. I'll have to add that to the list. 22 Laws of Branding.
Yeah. Yeah. This.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it. Good stuff. Okie doke. Thank you for that. Very insightful. Let's talk a bit more, sort of zoomed in to your journey then. So, getting started in e-commerce 2019. You talked about it was a supplement kind of angle that you took. Is that where you stayed? That's the business that you built up and sold, the supplements, or did you change niche at all?
Yeah, so basically my first brand was it was an eye health supplement brand that I developed because I had some issues with my eye and I wanted to have something that would help me like get better eye health. So I just
Hmm.
started like working on that brand. And so that was my first product around 2019. That product did reasonably well, but it wasn't crazy. I forgot exactly the numbers. It's been a while. And then I went into a different niche with a different brand, which was an ear health supplement. So again,
Hmm.
very niche. And so that was like, I think Q2 2019 or something like that, kind of like 6 months into Amazon. That was my second. That product actually did really well. Right from the get-go, it ranked really well and shot up to like 20, $30,000 a month in sales.
Hmm.
And it stayed around then, and then things happened to the listing, so kind of less quality reviews started coming in after like about a year. Started having more challenges with getting good reviews, and more competitors came in. So it kind of like the sales kind of went back down a little bit to like 20, 15K a month.
Hmm.
But those two brands remained my two niche supplement brands that were profitable. And that was essentially what I sold when
Okay.
I sold the business. I also worked on the third supplement brand, which actually this one I break down on my channel called Pure Medics, and that was a
Okay.
generic supplement brand. So instead of being a niche supplement brand focused
Hmm.
on one problem, one health problem, it was just a brand that sold generic, ingredients, kind of like vitamin C, probiotics, things like that. And I think I kind of got my ass kicked with that brand because I invested a lot into it. But I just didn't have the muscle in terms of like the financial backing and ability to really scale that brand with lower margins. Remember at that there was a point in time where I had like I think it was like $80,000 of inventory, and I scaled too quickly. Ended up having a lot of dead inventory. I think I had to discard like $20,000 or something worth of inventory,
Sheesh.
and I was like, oh, yeah, and so I think I was a little bit too confident going because I had success with those two first brands, and I was like, well, I can, now I can like 10x, like I don't
Mm.
want to do another niche supplement brand into like another. I want to do something that I can sell for like 10 million or something.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, looking back, there was more things that I should have considered, but yeah, I still was able to get a good exit out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you find with supplements you faced a lot of black hat? There's a lot of talk about competition and dirty tactics. Did you have to deal with that as you grew?
Well, I actually, I think the fact that I was in fairly niche supplement spaces was very different. I think when people talk about like, when people talk about supplements being like very dirty, black hat, it's I think it's not so accurate because it's kind of like putting all supplements in one bucket. And there's supplements is so vast, it's like a $200 billion market, I think in the US, and it's such a huge market. So the amount of subdivision that you have in supplements is, I don't know, there must be like 1,000 supplement niches at least on Amazon, you know? So like in between something that's just renowned for like black hat in competition, like a testosterone booster or like a fat burner, you know, like a Garcinia Cambogia or something. Like those are the worst. Like those you will like this is like a knife fight 24/7, you know, like you'll get your ass handed to your, you know, even if you can rank, you probably not even gonna rank. So this is very difficult, you know. But at the same time, you also have smaller niches that are very low competition, and you can kind of like count. You can almost count them on two hands the amount of competitors that you're dealing with, you know. And so it's kind of like there's a huge difference between these two things. And so for me, I could see the difference because sometimes, for example, with Pure Medics, I actually had a testosterone booster, and that one was like getting like, you know, suspended. It got suspended a few times. I could really very much see the difference between those like hot niches and those like more boring niches, right? So in boring niches, didn't have much issues, to be honest. And then, you know, the more competitive ones, and yeah, you get flagged all the time, and it's a little bit annoying.
Yeah, I think it's a great key for, you know, a great tip for success as well is niche down as far as you can, because there are niches within niches that are potentially very lucrative. You know, maybe not got the $100 million kind of target, you know, actualized market, but the ability to build something new in those more niche down markets is definitely much easier. And I think that, you know, in my experience, everyone talks about black hat tactics with supplements. I think that's just because supplements is such a lucrative industry, and everybody wants to be in it. You know, we've got a product in the top 1,000 BSR in one of the categories in the US, and we're constantly getting issues with that. You know, not necessarily black hat, but just weird Amazon goings on that, you know, you just sometimes think that maybe there's competitors involved in this, and that's not a supplement niche. And so I think it's not necessarily supplements that attract bad actors. Is just if you have a listing that is, you know, really prominent on Amazon, you're going to face issues no matter what niche you're in. So yeah, I wouldn't want to scare people off supplements is what I'm trying to say, I suppose.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I think supplements is, in some ways, it's the ideal product, you know, and I think that's why like so many people are so attracted to it. There's a lot of things I like about supplements. I like that it's sourced in the US, so that makes your supply chain. I remember like when I was dealing with, I had my supplement brand, I had my supplier in the US, and they would ship ground FedEx for free, would get to the 3PL in like 3 days. You know, and and I was like, that was great. Charged to Amex, they would charge without fees. I could pay with my Amex Gold card and get the travel points and everything. It's just like, you know, it's so nice compared to like you know, there's some other challenges with dealing with overseas suppliers and stuff. So that's great. And also the margins are incredible, especially when you go into higher volume. You know, if you can order like a few thousand bottles, like people don't realize how cheap, you know, it is to make a supplement. It doesn't mean it's bad quality. It's just a cheap product to make, you know, like most supplements in high volume cost less than $5 to make.
Yeah. But because of that, did you not find that you would face competitors that were willing to take less margin than you and undercut your pricing? How did you maintain that profitability amidst competition?
Yeah, that's actually something else I like about supplements, which is there's kind of like this even playing field in the fact that all you have is a bottle and a label. And, you know, you can kind of like present it in a different way, but it's not like, you know, a physical product where you have a lot of dimensions to differentiate. In supplements are very 2D in a sense, where it's like, it's a label that you have, and what you put on that label matters a lot, you know, and that label, that's your whole perceived value, right? And in a way, this is like something, you know, if you look at pharmaceuticals, for example, and you go and see the prices for pharmaceuticals like drugs in the US, the prices are astronomical. And to me, that speaks to the fact that people take these pharmaceuticals, these drugs, because they have a disease or they have a condition, and that creates a lot of emotional drive, a lot of emotional need. It's a big problem that people want to solve. So if you're able to offer a solution to something like a health condition, people are going to put a very high value on that, right? And so, for example, and it's also very tricky to manage because, for example, someone has a heart condition, right? And you're able to offer a supplement that makes them feel like this is really going to help them with their heart condition. Well, the value of that supplement can be very high,
Yeah.
because for them, that health improvement is worth a lot, you know? And so it's all about how you position, how you brand. And for me, I never saw cheap supplement brands that compete on price as competitors because I just thought that we weren't even competing for the same customer. Of course, there's always going to be people that are going to be purchasing supplements based purely on value, but you have a lot of customers that will be willing to pay a lot more to get something that they perceive as of higher value.
Yeah.
So really, with supplements, sky is the limit to like how much you can price. And I also use other techniques as well to increase the perceived value.
Yeah, that was my next question. What are you doing is it in your marketing, your Amazon listing? What do you do to increase that perceived value so that people will pay more?
hmm Well, so for me, it all starts with what I call a $1 million name,
Hmm.
and so that's a brand name that checks a few boxes. So the first thing is a brand name that promises a benefit to that core plan that that customer has, right? So I don't know if I have an example, but I think that's the first and foremost is the most important thing. And then the second thing is a brand name that is very unforgettable. So something that is maybe probably has a repetitive sound, is short. Those things increase the perceived value of the brand name because it makes your brand look unique and more valuable. And I would also add, like if you can kind of wordplay to add some sort of like an aura of premium, more clinical, kind of like Pure Medics. That wasn't a good name in the sense that it was a generic, but it was a great name in the sense that it kind of conveyed this kind of medical, clinical, because a mental association, because people really associate anything that's with doctors as something that's going to work better, more trust, and more effectiveness. So that's the first thing. Um, the name is very important. Then graphic design of the label is also very important. So branding in ways you can kind of tell, like if you go on Amazon now, like if you were to go and look at like the cheap brands versus like the more expensive brands, you could start drawing like very distinct differences. The cheap brands will usually like have a look and feel that make them look cheap, whereas like the more expensive brands like the Torn, Pure Encapsulations, those look clean, usually use like blue as a medical color, oftentimes, will look minimal. So the feel of purity and the association with medical is strong. And so it does feel like they look and feel like something your doctor would hand over to you and say,
Hmm.
take this, you
Yeah.
know? And so that's also very important, like the design, the graphic design. And then we can also add things like unique mechanisms. So that's also very interesting with supplements. For example, if you're able to convey that True could be a branded proprietary blend, for example. You could say, well, I have this eye health supplement, and I'm just making this up, but like, if, for example, you could create a proprietary blend that helps preserve vision against maybe screen or the sun. You could call it like Sight Saver or something,
Hmm.
trademark,
Yeah.
proprietary blend, and then it includes a list of things, and it makes it feel like you have something that will solve the core problem better than everything else, and nothing else has it. No other product has that. So it creates this very kind of like a valuable mechanism basically that nobody else has. So it kind of does this really double whammy where it increases your perceived value and it validates everyone else. And another thing that I like to do with supplements is offer an information product to help people get results faster, more
Hmm.
easily, more guaranteed. So, for example, if you sell a weight loss supplement, then what you can do is offer a diet or and then the same. marketing principles will apply to the information product. If you give it a really good name, a really good design, it will feel very valuable. You can have an image with like a 3D rendering of the book, and show, and then you can indicate that people will get it for free, and then you can put on the label the link to access or something like that.
Yeah.
And so people feel like maybe they're getting this $40 value or $50 value program or ebook for free with their $30 supplement purchase. So all of those things kind of combined together makes you able to charge a lot more for one product.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful and applies across industries, obviously. But if we were to look at the supplement niche, because I think there'll be a lot of people listening, and you say high margins, local suppliers, quick shipping times, Amex Gold points. You're saying all these good things, and there may be some people that would be interested in and maybe had discounted the supplement niche because of the perceived competition. But as you say, so many niches to get into, and so if someone wanted to start a supplement brand from scratch in 2023 and beyond, what are the first steps you think they should take?
That's a good question, and I'm not here to say I'm not here to sell people on the supplement.
No, yeah,
In full
no,
transparency, I'm also moving away from supplements. I'm trying
okay.
a brand now. I'm building a new brand in a completely different niche,
Okay.
not in supplements. And so, but if I had a good idea tomorrow, I would be interested in maybe starting a new supplement brand. So it's not to say that I'm preaching supplements or anything, but yeah. So, and I do want to warn people that there are some things in supplements that across the board are a little bit more difficult. Pay per click is very expensive across the board in supplements, and there's other things that make it not the easiest niche. But that said, I still think it's great. It's a great opportunity, and if someone was to start, I would suggest a few things to help them get going. So the first tip that I would probably give them is to, and this sounds maybe like a little complicated, but I'll try to make it simple, is to focus a brand around a core emotional problem that someone has. And so with supplements, it will oftentimes be some health condition. And you want to be careful because this is where you have to really tread a thin line between making disease claims and having plain Jane generic supplement brand. It oftentimes it's a thin line where you're suggesting, but you're not directly suggesting. But so yeah, you have to kind of find that thin line. But I would focus on one problem and a health condition. So for example, I was in eye health and I was in ear health, and for those two, there was a specific health condition that I was going after. But for example, you could say, well, I'm going to focus on people with anxiety. I'm going to make supplements for people with like an anxiety disorder, right? And that's going to be my core problem, and I'm going to build supplements around that, right? So anxiety, that's a pretty big niche, though. It's pretty wide, but you could find smaller niches, right? By doing some keyword research, shopping on Amazon, things like that, right? And so that's the first thing. Second, I'll probably try and find a niche that's not too big. So depending on the budget, obviously, but I'm thinking if someone is starting out, we're talking about more beginner. They probably don't have a $50,000 to $100,000 budget, for the first product, right? So let's say like a more reasonable, like someone wants to $10,000 or less to start. Then you'd probably be looking at a niche where people aren't selling $50,000 or $100,000 a month. Probably pick something a little bit smaller, right? Where maybe you have a top competitor making like 20 or 30K a month or something like that, and then you can jump in there and maybe there's 10 or 15 or 20 competitors, right? And then you can come in with great branding and kind of carve your own path there. So that's the second one. The third one is I would encourage people to start small. Even though once you find something that works, I think you do really want to go aggressive and you do really want to scale it. But the cool thing with supplements is that you can easily find a private label supplier that's going to give you a formula that's maybe already pre-existing, already pre-made, but that can be enough to work with your branding and kind of like a two-step kind of like product launch. So maybe you order like 100 bottles or something like that, and especially if you're a beginner, then you try to list it. Maybe you turn on some PPC, get some reviews, and just kind of get a feel for if your supplement is gonna completely fall flat, or like people are actually interested and people actually want to buy it. So I think that's actually a great thing about Amazon is you can kind of like dry test things a little bit, and once you got a good feel that your product is converting, that people want to buy it, you kind of nailed the branding, you nailed the packaging and everything, then maybe you can place a bigger order at a cheaper per unit cost,
Yeah.
and then really do a proper launch, you know?
Yeah. That's good. That's good. In terms of suppliers, how are you finding them? Just a simple Google search, or you got some other secret place?
For suppliers, for me, like that was when I found my first private label supplier. That was really random. It was like a course that I got, and this one guy in the course like made that recommendation, and then I went ahead and I started working with them. But other than that, in the U.S., there's no such thing as Alibaba. I think there's like ThomasNet or something.
Hmm.
There's like other like centralized websites for the U.S. But honestly, I'd probably say the best if you're in the US and you can go to like a trade show or something for supplements and you can meet people in person. I think it's kind of old school, but it's also kind of like suppliers in the US. It's kind of like how they work. So I think that probably give you the best bang for your buck is like go in person, some sort of a trade show, and then meet people in person. Of course, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. You can actually go to Google and you'll probably find some good suppliers. So kind of like find like 5 or 10, email them, ask them for their MOQs, their pricing, all of that information. And a lot of them do private label and custom formulation.
Hmm.
It's just that the MOQs, minimum order quantities for supplements, can be pretty high in the US. So it's common, to multiple thousands, so
Hmm.
at least 1,000 usually. And it's common to be more than that. So,
Yeah.
but sometimes you can get lucky, find a supplier that's willing to do a smaller MOQ. So it all depends.
Yeah. Good. Good. Okay. And then moving towards selling the brand. Then, at what point did you decide this is the time to sell?
Mm. Well, I'll just be really honest. I think for me, I could have held on to these two niche supplement brands, these first two that I discussed, the eye health and ear health brands. I could have held on to those. They were pretty stable, and I could have kept on. But I think I kind of dug myself a hole with the third brand that I worked on, and I put myself a lot of stress. And so I think I want to take some chips off the table,
Hmm.
and then refocus on that third brand. It's crazy that I still want, even after like I still thought it could work, and I still thought I would want to make it work. So I decided, I'm going to sell this account with these two brands, and then I'm going to move my third brand to this other account, and then I'm going
Hmm.
to invest more into it and try like different angles of like making it work. So yeah, that's kind of like when I sold, and I just started seeing like these niche supplement brands. I was like, okay, I have these two, they're working well, they're profitable, really good margins actually when I look back. Um, and yeah, but at the same time, I didn't see a lot of growth potential. So I just thought it'd be better to just sell them and then
Yeah.
move on.
And you said you sold them through Empire Flippers. What was that
Yeah.
process like?
It was long,
Mm.
and I also learned, which is one of the reasons why I'm actually going into different space now. I learned that selling a supplement business that is fairly small, was more difficult. At that time, it was like the time of the aggregators, like, where like there was a lot of aggregators buying businesses. So I had calls with like, different, I think at least one, maybe more, like I mean, one, two, or three aggregators that were interested. But I was hearing a lot like, oh, supplements really risky. We're not really sure we want to. So it took a couple months. I think it took about 6 months for me to sell, including there was like this one time where I was really excited because there was this one aggregator that wanted to buy the account at a really great price. Like that was kind of like more my starting price, and they do like due diligence for like 2 months, and then at the last minute, like when I send the last bit of due diligence, they're like, oh no, yeah, we're pulling out, like this is not going to work for us. And I was like, damn.
Oh no.
And so the listing was pending for that whole 2 months, and so I couldn't get anyone else to like contact me or anything like that. So then after that it went back on. So I was a little bit pissed, but it's part of the game. I think like it was the second business that I sold, so I think I now I know that, yeah, business selling a business usually takes a lot more time than you think, and it's quite stressful.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
just part of it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's something where I've heard, we just released a course actually in Brand Builder University called Exit Engine. And Ben Leonard is the guy that teaches it. And
That's a good name.
he sold Beast Gear. It's like a fitness brand. And he talks about in the course about how, you can't take your foot off the gas when you're going through the sale process, because a lot of people, like you yourself, probably, you get in that position where, okay, someone's going to buy it, they're doing due diligence, you get excited about it, you're thinking about the cash coming into your account, and it's very easy to kind of think, okay, the business is sold. But then if they pull out and you've taken your foot off the gas for several months, then the business can be in a bad situation. So you need to keep moving forwards. Were there any other sort of lessons like that you learned that our listeners might be able to, glean from?
Yeah, I think that's a great mindset that you just shared there. I think definitely, and it's just a business like that has growth. If you can provide, you can show the way for the buyer to keep growing the business. That's already good, right? But if you can actually show growth, like it's already happening, like as as you're having a call with them, like, and like this is what we're doing now, and it's growing the business right now. That's much more attractive.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that's a great tip. Other than that, I don't know. I would say, like, I think with Empire Flippers was pretty hands off. My first business, I sold, like, I was my almost my own broker, I think.
Hmm.
So that was like a lot more like hands on. But Empire Flippers was like quite hands off. So it was just like, oh, show up on these calls at these times and answer the questions. So it was fairly easy. Maybe like one thing that I would add is just, and that's more like when for someone who's like starting from the beginning, is start your business with the end in mind. Like
Great thought.
if you know that you want to sell the business at some point, have it all like packaged up. From day one, having like clean books,
Hmm.
like a proper business entity, like having its own Amazon account that doesn't have like 20 different brands, in the same account, like. Just keep things clean, keep things like well packaged, and I think that will make it a lot easier, a lot more attractive for buyers, and a lot more, yeah.
Yeah, great tips, great thoughts. Yeah, that's good. And then just to finish up, then moving forwards to now, obviously you mentioned about doing some new brand stuff, but you're also working for an aggregator. It's sort of almost come full circle, selling, trying to sell to an aggregator. Now you're working for an aggregator. What's been the kind of the backstory that made that happen?
Yeah, after I sold my business, I was kind of like split at the same. I wasn't sure if I was going to start a new supplement brand. It's kind of like tiptoeing. I wasn't too sure. I think I took a bit of time off, and I felt like it could be a better opportunity given the market and how things were moving. Like looking at all the consolidation that was happening with Amazon, all the big brands getting acquired, and all the money flowing to the aggregators. I thought that kind of like joining forces with it's kind of like this saying, like, if you can't beat them, join them,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
saying, right? Like I thought that could be interesting. And I think I also craved, like, after being a full-on entrepreneur since like since I was young. I think I some part of me probably craved like a little bit of more like stability, a little bit less risk. I think I
yeah.
found that I'm actually quite risk averse. And seeing one of my friends who used to have an Amazon business, and then his Amazon, he wasn't able to sell it. I think he had like, problems with it, and then he ended up getting a job working at a company in the U.S. And I thought he had pretty good. I was like, wow, like he's got making a really good salary and everything. So I was like, it kind of planted the idea in my head. So I kind of asked myself, I was like, what do I enjoy doing the most, and what do I not enjoy? And for me, building products was what I enjoyed the most. It's always been like that for me. Building products gets me excited. It's that process of starting because I'm very creative. So I
Hmm.
love creating. I love making stuff. But then after that, inevitably, you come into the management of the business and the growth of the business, where it's a lot more analytical, right? Where you have to bring in components of like, logistics and analytical marketing, like it's a lot more. Now it's not about creating the video ads, it's about like, manage the keywords and optimizing the biz and everything like that. And then customer service, operations, right? So I was like, I don't like that as much, right? So how can I just do more product development? And so I kind of decided, okay, I'm gonna focus on that, and ended up reaching out to this one aggregator called Rainforest in Asia, and it was a connect right away. I remember talking to someone there, and we hit it off right from the start. And so they brought me in as a product development manager there. So yeah, so and it's been good. I've actually been learning a lot, and it's cool that they're giving me a lot of freedom, and I get to like launch a lot of products, and yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, I got to be a bit careful here because I know I can't discuss like too much internal processes and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of
But
course.
yeah,
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 I mean, it's
very
a
happy with
competitive
it.
space. Yeah, no, good man. Oh, that's good. That's good. It's a competitive space, so I think there's, yeah, it's obviously been a very interesting couple of years for the aggregator space. There was kind of like the gold rush of 2021, and then the cool down of 2022, and now the strong players are advancing, and because it was always a good business model, it just went a little bit crazy, and the strong operators are going to survive the kind of some of the crunches that we've seen, and so no, good on you, man. It sounds like they are a solid outfit and growing well, which is great to see. What's it like working for an aggregator? Because there'll be Amazon sellers, I'm sure, that would be listening to this thinking, oh man, I've got some skills, some expertise, and maybe I could do something like that. What's it like? Obviously you're enjoying it. You have to say you're enjoying it, but overall, what's it like?
Well, I mean, if there's some Amazon sellers that want to do product development, I actually am hiring for my team. So if someone wants to reach out to join, do some product development, definitely do. And yeah, for me, like it's been an adjustment, of course. I think it's mostly like the general aspects of going from being an entrepreneur and just doing whatever the hell you want, like all the time.
Yeah,
Like if
yeah,
you wake up one day and you just want to like do nothing for the whole day. You can, or you can be anywhere you want in the world. Like, so, no matter what, because for me, I travel to like a lot of different countries and growing my businesses and everything. And now, it's a little bit more like of a commitment, so I put in the hours, and it's been more structured and everything. So, that I think I needed to adapt a little bit to that. But at the same time, I think it's been really good for me because it's kind of maybe I was a bit of a mess before, and it kind of structured me up a little bit and kind of put me on a more consistent path. And I do see a lot of opportunities for growth. And I think if you're an Amazon seller, and you can focus, you can kind of narrow down something that for me was product development, but for someone else might be the opposite. It might be they just really love doing PPC or something, or like
hmm
they really love managing a brand. Then there's obviously a lot of opportunities to do that. And there's if the organization I think is the right size, there's going to be a lot of growth opportunities, to become a more important part of that organization.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Exciting times, man. Exciting times. Where can people find out more? You've just launched a YouTube channel, right? Where can people find out more about that?
Yeah, yeah, just
YouTube, obviously.
yeah, on YouTube. I don't know if are you going to be posting a link or something?
Yeah, yeah. We'll
Otherwise,
put the
it's my
links. Yeah,
name,
yeah, yeah,
Maxence Roy,
yeah.
on YouTube. And yeah, I got like 44 subs now. So if you wanna if you wanna subscribe, I definitely need more subscribers now. So
Definitely. Let's see if we
I'm
can
doing
get you to
videos
50 at
about
least.
yeah. Yeah, thanks.
No, man.
Yeah,
Good,
so that's the
good.
main thing. Now I'm not currently selling anything. I'm just doing new videos and kind of like trying to build up an audience.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there may be you might get some Amazon sellers that reach out that want a job, so they can
Oh, we
find you
also
there.
acquiring brands also. So if there's
That's
some brands that want to sell, yeah.
definitely. What kind of profile?
We're mostly doing parenting brands,
hmm
but we have different brands in different categories. So I think we're looking at all types of categories, but obviously if you do have a parenting brand, that's the best fit.
Yeah, nice. Good stuff. Cool. Okay. Well, we'll leave, like we said, the link to your YouTube channel in the description for people to check it out. Good to have another solid practitioner sharing valuable content. So make sure you get subscribed to that, guys. Maxence, thanks so much for coming on the show today. Really appreciate you taking time out. It's been very valuable, insightful, and I'm interested to, excited to see where your journey continues to go.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ben.
No problem at all. Awesome, guys. Well, thanks for joining us for this episode. As we said, check out the links in the description for Maxence's YouTube channel and all of that great content. And we'll see you in the next episode, same time next week. Take care.